So in this video, I'm gonna show you the cost of moving flat in London, and I'm gonna divide it in 4 parts. Flat rental prices, moving in fees, charges when you rent or when you look for a removal company to help with your moving, and lastly, my expenses when I did my move a few months. Welcome back! This is Grace again from the PinayLondoner.com. If you're new to this channel, I'm a Filipino expat who now lives in London, and I make videos on London and the UK living. So if you're interested in this kind of topic, please do subscribe to my channel by clicking the link below and hitting the notification bell as well so you get notified every time I upload some new content. Okay, so let's get straight to the first part. The first is flat rental prices. I think all of the Londoners would agree when I say that this is probably the most expensive thing when you live here in London, flat rent prices. Well, obviously, this is going to be different according to a variety of factors. It is dependent on the type of flat that you're looking for, the location that you want to live, and lastly, the furnishings that you're looking in a flat. And if you're already doing your search, you might have noticed that rent prices are divided or classified into per cycle month or per week basis. I'm gonna pop in here a conversion of a per weekly to per month rent and vice versa. When I was doing my search, I find it a little bit confusing and it's not straightforward. Probably because I'm not too good in math, that's why. But anyway, I think it's relevant in this video, so I'm gonna show here the computation so it's easier for you. Let's get straight to the type of flat that we're talking about. It can either be from a house share, studio flat, 1 bedroom, up to 7 bedrooms, 8 bedrooms, or I think 7 bedroom is like the maximum that I've seen so far. Anyway, so house share, if you want to save, this is probably the best fit for you. House share means that you're renting a flat in, say, a 4-bedroom or 5-bedroom flat.
This is what you can expect on a house share. You can see it can go as low as 477, there's 500 as well, there's nearly 700 and at 700. Most of these are all bills inclusive, and it's on West London area, so you can really save with this.
So let's go next to a studio flat. A studio flat is usually self-contained, so mostly the bedroom and the kitchen is in one space and you have your separate toilet. This can be a little bit tricky because if you are on a budget of around 700s to 800s in central London, then you will expect that you will get a smaller space. A budget of around 900 to 1000 starts to be okay, and you can go as higher as 1100 and above. Well, it really depends on you, especially if you want privacy and if you want to be on your own. A studio flat might be a good option for you. Next is a 1-bedroom flat. So this is different from a studio flat because it's generally larger and the bedroom is always separate from a living room or from the kitchen. So you will have a separate bedroom, separate living room, and separate kitchen plus a toilet and shower. This can be from a price of £1,000 up until 1,600 or 1,700. But the beautiful thing in here is that you can share it with another person. Say for example, if you want to live with your partner, then a 1-bedroom flat is perfect for you. And the rest are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4-bedroom, or even 7-bedroom, which is very ideal if you're renting together with a group of friends. You will share all of the utility bills together, so it can still be manageable in terms of rent. So next is according to location. As a rule of thumb in here, the closer you get to central, the more expensive it gets, and sometimes it's even smaller, while the farther you go away from central London, the cheaper it is.
For example, in Zone 1, a flat in Chelsea, which is one of the most expensive places to live in London, for £1,777 per month, you can get a 649 square feet. When you go to Zone 2, which is here in Battersea, for 1,500, which is already cheaper, you can have a slightly larger space, which is 678 square feet. How about if you go far away from central London, like in Zone 6? So in Croydon, for example, this is way cheaper than the previous two, which is 1,365 per cycle month, and even more spacious at 783 square feet.
The last factor that's going to affect the price of a flat is the furnishing. So in London, the emptier the flat is, the better, because basically the landlord doesn't have to spend a lot of money on buying those furnitures to be provided for you. So in an unfurnished flat, which is very bare, you don't even have any mattress or any basic furnitures, it's gonna come cheaper. While a semi-furnished flat, which already has some white goods, is gonna cost a little bit more. Flat will cost you more money. This is because the landlord has already provided you most of the things that you need to live in the flat, like bed mattresses, bed frames, tables and chairs, fridges, and all other stuff. Okay, so let's now move on to the moving in fees. There are three things that you have to remember here. First is the holding deposit, next is the actual deposit, and the last is the rent in advance. A holding deposit is the money that you pay to the landlord or to the agency, which basically reserves the property for you. So at times that you have to, or you're still in the processing period of your documents or doing some reference checks, so what it does is to block all the viewings for the property, and it takes the property off the market as well. It is equivalent to a 1 week worth of your rent, and it's gonna be deducted in the total amount of money that you have to pay when you move into your new flat in London. The next one is a deposit. A deposit is the money that works like an insurance for the landlord or for the agency. So it's being kept in safety under a tenancy deposit scheme, and should there be damages in the properties in the middle of the contract or in the entire period of the contract, like breaking the wall if you're too strong, I don't know, if you fail to professionally clean the property at the end of your tenancy. So all these penalties will be deducted from your deposit, and it will be returned whatever is left of it at the end of your tenancy. So how much money do we have to prepare for this deposit? It all depends on the annual rent cost of your flat. For example, if your flat is less than £50,000 in a year, so you have to pay 5 weeks worth of deposit. If it's more than £50,000 in a year, then you have to pay 6 weeks worth of your deposit. All of these details should be clearly stated in your offer letter anyway, but it's just very important for you to know in advance so you prepare your money on how much you have to save.
To those who doesn't know, there is actually an alternative for us to pay lesser money upfront when we're moving flat in London. This is a service called Zero Deposit. If you want to know more information regarding this, just go straight to their website called zerodeposit.com, and basically what it does is just asking for a 1 week worth of your rent and then a yearly administration fee. So whenever you're doing your search in Rightmove and in Zoopla, just type in the keywords Zero Deposit so you'll know those landlords and agents participating in this kind of service.
And lastly is the rent in advance. So normally it comes as a 1 month rent in advance, but sometimes other landlords and agency can charge 2 months worth in advance when you move a flat in London. And sometimes as well, when they encounter some problems with your credit check, they may ask for a guarantor. So this is a person that they have to chase should you become incapable of paying your rent. Also, if they're not satisfied with your bank account or your payslip whatsoever, your salary, they may ask for a couple of months rent in advance, say 3 months in advance or 4 months in advance, so they can do that. So it's just good for you to know. So if you're like me who have a lot of things in the flat, it's very difficult to move alone. I mean, I cannot imagine how many Uber rides is that gonna be. So I frequently use a removal service like what they call a man and van. So the price of this is very dependent on the company that you're renting and in a lot of factors. For example, the distance that you're traveling from first flat to second flat, for example, the number of items that you have and how much they weigh, the urgency of the booking if you book it too late or too advance, and as well as the number of flights of stairs if you live in the basement or if you live in the top floor of the building with or without lift access. That will count too. Another thing is that if how many assistants do you need. For example, the driver would be enough and maybe you have another person that's going to help in the lifting, or if you require the driver helping and if you require another additional person as well. So that's all going to change the prices. So generally you will pay higher cost if it's a longer travel, if there are a lot of flights of stairs, and if there is no lift, if you have a lot of things and if they are too heavy, and then if you require a lot of assistance or additional person. So just a tip, if you want to use a man and van, instead of going straight to a specific company, you can maximize or you can find a cheaper service if you use a comparison website just like this. This is not sponsored, but I just find it's very useful. So you go to that website and then you put some specific details of your move, like for example the address of your first flat and then your new flat. They will ask as well the date of your booking, if how urgent is that, for example. They will ask on how many people do you need. Do you just need a driver or do you need additional assistance? They will ask as well on how many items do you have to move, like how many large boxes, how many small boxes, do you have a sofa, do you have a fridge, all this kind of stuff. And they will ask too about the position of the flat, like if it's in a basement or if it's in the top floor, if how many flight of stairs are there, and if there are some lifts available in your flat. So all this they're gonna compute and give you some quotation. And the good thing in here is that because they're affiliated with a lot of companies, so you have the option of choosing the cheapest one. So if you're still in this video and you reached this point, thank you so much for staying. And now I'm gonna give you some expenses that I had when I moved flat. I just want to give you some specifics to this so that you can realistically compare it to your own situation. So the timing, for example, I moved in the middle of pandemic last November. So I am one of the people who's crazy enough to look for flat at that time, but there was an advantage because the prices are relatively cheaper than it was on a pre-COVID period. And secondly, the location. So I live in Zone 2 and it's highly accessible with the underground and some bus routes. There are lots of shops as well, and it's pretty much close to the center, so that's gonna affect the price of my flat as well. Secondly, it's a 2-bedroom flat and it's in the basement. And thirdly, when we moved in the flat, we did not request a lot of major changes. I think we just requested to have it professionally cleaned, and that's it. There's nothing else. And let's do the math. And let me just get some sip of coffee for this because it is gonna knock my brain out. I'm kidding. Okay, so our monthly rent is 1,430 and it's the two of us, so I'm just gonna give you all the numbers and I will divide it by 2 in the end. So 1 month's rent is 1,430, holding deposit is £330, 5-week worth of deposit, this is already minus the holding deposit, so that is 1,320. In total is 3,080, but divided by 2 is 1,540. On top of that, I have used the removal man and van service as well, which I paid £110. This is slightly expensive because of all the stuff that I have and because I only booked 1 week in advance because I run into trouble, so on and so forth. So when I moved in this flat, I paid a total of, drum roll, 1,640. So it's a bit too much, isn't it? But anyway. So that's it. So thank you so much for staying in this video, and I hope that you've learned something. And if you find value in this content, please do share it with your friends, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.